Welcome back to the channel. I'm not sure it's a good thing. You see the Titans in the garage. Now the last video we did, all I did was I moved the truck out to here and parked it after we replaced the battery. Now the truck wouldn't start. It did it 2 or 3 times. I charged it overnight and we could only get it up to I think 12.4 volts or something, and then we put a load test on and it went way down, like instantly 10 volts. And so the date on it was it was original battery. It was the Nissan Renault battery, and it was 5 years old. So we installed a new battery. Well, we did check the charging system. I wasn't too pleased with it, but it was like 14 volts. And we put the load on and it handled it. And I said, well, I guess we're all right. So I thought the battery was the culprit, which it probably still was somewhat. But anyways, I drove it 30 feet. I didn't even go down the road, and I parked it. And I needed the carport for something. We're doing projects. And I went out to start it, and the truck went, and again, and I'm like, what? And it started. So I'm like, all right, I'll let it run a couple minutes, whatever, let it charge up. Because I wanted to take Dawson on a little adventure. We were going to go somewhere. And so we were going to drive this. So anyways, I came back in a couple minutes and the smoke was rolling. I was like, holy crap. So I shut it off. I come out here under the hood and look what I found. I don't know if you can see that. Looks like plastic, right? Well, look down here. We got a belt not on the engine. So it threw the belt off and burned it. And so I'm digging deeper and I'm touching. And down there, I grabbed a hold of the alternator. All the pulleys seem to work, but the alternator, I couldn't get it. If I can even reach it here. I'm on the alternator now and I can't even turn the pulley. So it smoked the belt. And then I got to spin all these pulleys, but we need to put an alternator on this. And so we had 2 little problems to do. So what I did, look on this pulley right here. You see all that junk in there? I don't want to get the new belt put on there and see all that debris. It just smoked it. So we're going to be installing an alternator. And it's way down the bottom. Unlike our F-150 was right up here on top. Super simple to do. This is not. And so it looks like we'd have to remove like this upper hose to get access. And then who knows what else because you can't see. I'm thinking I'd rather go from the bottom and then come up in. So what I did first thing is I thought, well, maybe I better throw a new tensioner on it. And then what else should I do? So I said, well, maybe a belt, a tensioner, and I said I need an alternator. And so I called Nissan. They want $1,100 and some for an alternator. I'm like, whoa. And then they said it's not in stock. Some are on back order. He thinks he can get one. So I started trying the auto parts stores, all of them. And Napa, we don't even have a listing for it. This is a 2156 SP. And it's got the smart charge on it. And so I did find one. I'll show you over here what we got. So what we got is a Goodyear belt. This is the part number. I believe it's around 91.5 inches. We got a tensioner. It's a Daco. And then we've got a Duralast in a real beat up box. And they said it was going to take a week. And it came in a day and a half, wasn't it? So I was worried that it was damaged because the box is all beat up. But it looks good. It's got a lifetime warranty. And so what we have to do to get the other one out is we'd have to compare and make sure that it's the same thing. I believe there's 7 little rings on this. Some have 5. We got to check the bolt pattern. And then on the back, we just have to make sure all these connections are the same. And then our plug goes on here. So our smart charge wire and our hot wire And then I believe there's a ground on it somewhere. One of these a ground where the battery post goes. So let's get in there and tear it apart. So I disconnected the negative battery cable, and I think I'll throw a rag here so they cannot touch. I got to get all this debris stuff out of there. I got it on the lift. Truck barely fits in here. I'm going to see if I can lift the truck up and remove this front tire, because if we can go right through there, the alternator's right behind this, and I'm thinking that's going to be my best shot. I can see what I'm doing. If we go up underneath, I think the sway bar or something is in the way. So I guess we'll pop the wheel off. That'll give me a chance to inspect the brakes. I think we can turn the wheel all the way out, remove the front half of the inner fender well, the plastic, and fold it back. But I don't know if I like doing it like that, kinking it up. But having this removed, I can reach right in there, because I want to do this right. I don't like to fish around and then just feel. I want to see it. So we'll get on that. These look like 20, what are they, 21? I'll check that. All right, we're going to put 4 jack stands, 2 underneath the suspension and 2 under the frame. These are truck stands. I just never trust these stands after hearing the Harbor Freight fiasco. You know, cars falling on people. So the lift, this is designed, actually we mounted it so that when you lift the car, it lifts and, you know, it comes backwards. So in this case, it'll actually take the truck forward. So the engine out front, I don't want to put on the lift unless I turned it around. But we have no power steering, and that'll leave us stuck up front to work. And right out here, we got a lot of room to work, plus sunshine, we can see better. So I just loosened these lugs a little bit. We're going to pull the wheel off. And before I do that, Dawson mentioned too, we always check like our wheel bearing. There's no play anything on this. And it turns nice and free. And there is no road noise. This thing rides nice, don't it, Dawson? Mm-hmm. All right, so if we peek in there, we got some debris because we're in New York. But see all that debris up there? Can you see it?
Yep.
What is it? That's not dirt. That's that belt. Look at it. This is all the belt. I walked out back while the truck was running. I come back and the smoke was like the thing was on fire. So it chewed that all up. We're going to take these Phillips screws. There's a push pin there. Push pin there. Wherever else, there's probably one up in there. Here's one. And then here. And we're going to take the mud flap off. I'm going to remove the whole thing. And the reason is I can look at the frame. I can look at the side of the engine. I can get to the alternator. I can see it. I can see what I'm doing. I'm unfamiliar with this truck, so let me learn what I can. Then I can also clean off the top of the frame and spray some fluid film in there. This was Z-barred when it was new. I want to find out if there's any corrosion under the Z-bar, you know. So we're going to pop the wheel off. I'll get the tool out. We'll pop this thing out of here. So we got all these Phillips screws out, the push pins. Got their tire off, obviously. And probably should have checked on the top side to see if anything's hooked onto it. Now comes the surprise of finding out what condition our truck's in, right? Looks like I got it. So I think we just fold and get this out of here. So I started taking off this lower one. That's separate. So we got that. We flip it in. We'll see up on top here. Make sure no hoses are hooked to it or nothing, wires. I see the engine. It's back there. I think we got it. Got some insulation here. And then let's see what condition our truck's in, right?
Pretty good.
Hey, see the frame?
Solid.
Much better than the old Ford was. That's the reason we got rid of it, guys. I didn't really do a video on that. But remember, we had some issues with it for several years, and I finally got fed up and said I can't afford to keep fixing it, so it's down the road. I did pretty good by it. I got half the price. I kept it 10 years. I got half my price back. And it wasn't enough to buy this, but I put a little with it, and we bought this. And this is high mileage too. But trucks are serious money, and I'm not going to spend it on a vehicle. I'd rather spend it on my house. So These depreciate and your house appreciates. So that's the difference. So come on in here and see what we got. Hey, that's how we get to the back of our headlights. Another thing I want to do on an upgrade on this, guys, is look out here. Is I want to put fog lights in, and these covers come out. And I did take this out. See that? There's the back of our bumper. Probably a good time to spray some fluid in there. And then what we got is sensors. So this is a front sensor. If you get near a vehicle, a car passes you, whatever, it's a bing bing. And a cool feature on this truck that I found out the other day is you see how close we are to the back wall. Now this has that backup sensor alarm. And if we have a trailer on and we go to back up, it doesn't let us, does it, Dawson?
No.
So you got to press that button or you can't even back up. And it did the same thing. I tried to back in here and keep it about 3 or 4 inches away from the back wall to get on the lift, and it physically would not back up. You weren't here, but I had it in reverse. I'm stepping on the gas, and it just locked right up. It would not. I did. That was a cool feature. Would not let me hit the wall back there. That was cool. All right, so right here's our alternator. Can you see it? And it looks spanked. It looks hot. Can you see down in there? It's crusty, rusty, icky. So I think what we'll do next is we'll take off this pan. See our belly pan? We'll take that down. That's probably got about 4 or 6 screws in it, whatever, clips, and then we'll be able to see up in there, and I'll put a light that way. All right, the got the skid plate down. Nice shiny oil filter. That's cool. 92326 it says on the filter. I doubt it. All right, so there's our alternator, and we got to get our bracket on the right. Looks like a, can you see it? 12 mil. And then we got a wire that's clipped to the side of it, so we got to pop that little snap off. And then I'm pretty sure there's a big bolt on the top, probably a larger size. All right, so I'm in here on the side. Dawson's underneath, and we got to take off this wire right here. It's on a little push clip. We've got to keep moving your light around. We've got a big 14 millimeter bolt here at the top. We've got probably is that a 14 or a 12 on this side? It's a little bit smaller on that bracket on the other side. I think there's 2 different sizes. And then you see our, put that light up a little higher so I can see it. Or back here, see that? Up, no, put your light up higher. I'm trying to show people. Back there is our wire connection. I don't know how you would get that without moving the alternator first. And then we've got our push-in connector down here on the side. I think the designers should have done a little better and put an electrical part up high instead of down low. So we're going to do that. Try to get that out. And once we get it loose, maybe I can reach the back side. It's probably around a 13 millimeter nut on that. We got that bracket bolt on the other side out, and then this 14 long one was seized right up in there, so we sprayed it. We used a little propane torch on the back side of it, hoping I didn't catch anything on fire, and I didn't. And then I ended up putting this this breaker bar on the 1/2-inch ratchet, and I tried to tighten, and once it all of a sudden went click, I could see the back side, the threads turning. I'm like, phew, I didn't break it off. So we got it loose. Now we can't get it out of there. And then I unclipped that wire that just snaps on. It's so hard to show you this. And then I am glad I did this on the side. You couldn't imagine doing it down to there, could you, D? No. And I don't know how you can do it from the top side if you can't see. You got to work with a mirror. So I think coming through the fender well is the key. Now what we're going to do is try to get that bolt out and see if we can start wiggling it free. If not, we got to take the rest of that bracket. Can you see where that bracket hooks on, D?
Yeah, right.
Is there another bolt? I think a bracket comes right off. If
right
you,
here. See it?
But I want to be careful because I don't want to make sure we're taking off a timing chain bolt or something, you know, cover bolt.
There's
so,
2 more bolts to it.
Is it like a triangle,
There's a
kind of bracket?
bracket that hooks to a pulley and then
yeah, I don't want to take too much stuff off, so we'll see what that is. The factory doesn't lube up bolts. Look at that bolt corrosion on it. Can you see it right there?
Oh, sorry.
But the key was I ran my ratchet, little Ryobi ratchet on there while Dawson pulled out on it. And she was a little bit seized in there. But we didn't harm anything. So we'll clean them threads up and put a little bit of lube on. I wish they would from the factory. All right, Dawson's rocking. It's ready to fall off. Right there. Yay! Now, easy. We got to disconnect the wire now. So it's kind of a press fit up on there.
Yeah.
And a little bit of corrosion probably. But look at the damage from that belt. Look at all these pulleys. Got a lot of junk stuck to them. So I'm going to look up what I can spray them with. Maybe brake clean or something. That'll soften that chunks. What a project. Get that clip undone. I found that the pulley facing down helps. And then get that rubber out of the way. We can get the 12 millimeter nut off the wire. So now we just got to figure out how to finagle it out of there. If the power steering pump wasn't there, we can do it, couldn't we, Dawson?
Yeah.
All right. This is power steering hose. These are 2 air conditioning lines. They're solid lines. They don't wiggle much. They are turned to hoses for a short distance, but they don't move enough. So the alternator's not moving out and down. And then obviously it can't fit right here. And you know, taking off the sway bar, which someone said on the forum was going to work, but it's probably not for the newer model. I would imagine like a 17 or something like that maybe, but not a 21. And I believe Dawson said on a photo he looked at that the power steering pump was higher, right?
Yeah.
On another model, which gives you more room. And this one, they're, you know, I can't get my hand under that. How are you going to get an alternator through? So there's 3 bolts, which I broke 1 socket already, mounting the whole unit. And what I'm hoping for is to move it out of the way by taking the bolts out and trying to move it a little bit. Can we get the alternator out underneath it, put the new alternator in, bring the power steering back, reattach it, and then hook the alternator up? So finally got the 3rd bolt down. Now the power steering pump moves, but the wires, there's 2 ground wires to the back of the pump. That's an odd spot to ground. And then with these little clips to let the wire loom loose. And then we're going to try to take the pump going up a little bit without harming the hoses. What a fiasco. Dawson put the ratchet strap on there, and we pulled up on it. We tilted and tilted and tilted, and look, finally got it out. It would help if none of this bracketry was here. It takes up 1.5 inches. And then this bracket, little things on the back, which didn't help much, but the huge bracket is the problem. So now we're going to compare this to the new one. All right, we're going to compare here. So you check, look at the junk. Look at that, stuck right on that. I can't even turn this. See the difference? I can't do nothing. And so this
I remember on your old one, we could do it on the old Ford, but it made that grinding noise when you spun it. And this one, it was smooth.
Yeah, it did like a bearing noise.
Yeah.
But this one, a bearing seized right up or something in it.
Mm.
Probably all it needs is bearings. But the vehicle has a lot of miles on it. So now that looks good. You know, we got the big bolt goes through in this one. And we're a 7 and 7. We tilt it this way. That's the same. Tilt it this way. Yeah. Looks good, don't it, boys? Take this crap off. And then, what is that? Oh, that's nice.
Oh,
remember the box was broke. That's great. Wonder if I can pull this shield off in this one and put on there. Probably. Just double nutted, right? Maybe I'll do that. I can't send it back and wait another week. Yeah, parts of it's even missing. That figures. And then our clip right here, it's a single wire. Single wire. So this is, we're gonna, probably won't harm anything, but I want to put that on so the boot snaps back over that. Pretty low. Look at the pretty trees. Almost all the leaves are gone on some of them. Back to our mess. The new alternator sitting down in that hole. We did it. Now we just got to turn the power steering, put them 3 bolts in and struggle that. And the power steering hooks to the alternator bracket. So you can't put the alternator in like you should and then put the power steering. They're A unit. Project. Look at it. It's getting dark out. You probably can't tell, but it's dark, isn't it, Dawson? What a project. So he's tightening up that bolt, which we finally got lined up. But the nut's falling out of the back of the alternator. See that? So hopefully it won't fall. See if it's sucking in there. Okay, hold on. I'm going to take a pry bar and push the nut forward back into that. And then he's got to tighten up the little 12 millimeter on the bracket. But we lifted it up and got the bracket bolt in down the bottom is what lined us up. And then we pried it up with a pry bar against the frame here. I got my hot wire and my to the alternator, and I've got my field wire, and the only thing I do now is clip this wire loom back into that little frame bracket. Then we got to clean the pulleys and put the belt on, but see, the belt's in pieces. It broke, and so I got to figure out how it was routed, and we are close. All right, everything's on. Now we got to see that nut pulled right in. And now we gotta probably use brake clean or something. I want to get this clean before I put a new belt on them pulleys. There's some junk in the grooves. Look at all that junk stuck in them pulleys. I tried brake clean. I tried sanding on it, or with a scraping on it, and then watch this with a wire brush. That belt just burnt. And like I said, I started this up, and it started slow, and then it started, so I left it, and I figured I'll let the battery charge. So I went out and mussed with something out back, and then I come back out, and boy, the smoke was rolling high. I ran in and shut it off. I'm almost done with this pulley, but it looks like we got to do every other one. We don't have to do the idlers, but every groove pulley, so we got to do. What's on the other side? I gotta remember, probably the AC clutch. Oh, hey, ho, ho. AC clutch, and then we gotta do something else. But you gotta have gloves on, because that baby's hot. Lost my light. I'm having a lot of trouble with this project, guys. Oh my God, but I gotta get that while it's hot. Get that pulley cleaned out, and we can put our new belt on, and then we can test this thing out. It probably won't be tonight because it's getting near what time, Dawson? It's getting late. This is a project. So I would imagine, Dawson said he'd rather take it to the garage and have somebody work on it than this. But see how we got the pulley now? Look at that. That can handle a belt. Now we're going to do the other ones, and I think there's a crankshaft. We got to be careful with a crankshaft sensor. We got the water pump. Right? No, we got a idler. I got to see what's over there. There's like 3 or 4 to do. Well, more damage. I was cleaning these pulleys up, and I rolled that idler down there. See, there's that chunk right out of it. So the plastic we're seeing is from that pulley. And I can spin the pulley freely, so probably the belt got pinched between the two right there and just melted it. So I don't see a bolt attaching that unless it's a plastic cover, but all the rest of these are metal. I don't know why they used a plastic one. So I'm going to see how to get that off in there, and I have to order one of them and finish cleaning up these pulleys. I probably can't get a torch on all of them, so I'll probably be scraping. And then the saga continues. All right. My pulley came in. Got it from Rock Auto. And this looks like an upgrade. This is very heavy. This is metal. So what we're going to do is we're getting rid of that plastic one. I don't understand why, you know, everything else is metal, and then they have one plastic idler. So what I'm going to do, it looks like it's about 13, 14 millimeter. I'm going to pop that off, and then I'm going to put the new one on. Actually, while that's off, maybe I'll clean the top of the AC pulley. I got to clean, looks like the water pump. We got these two done. Of course, we got not two, but we got one done. We got the power steering done. We got a new alternator. We got to do the harmonic balancer, you know, the crankshaft. We got to do the water pump. I just want to clean the crud out of them grooves, and then I'll install the new bearing. So maybe I'll take that off to give me a little more access. That was a project. Started it with a ratchet, 14 mil, and then went to a ratchet wrench, which worked much better. Check it out. Not too healthy. I can't say that's going to make our belt last more than a minute. So this is plastic. And the bolt, yeah, it's locked on there with a spacer. And this one doesn't come with that. But this is metal, so this won't happen again. And so I got to get that clip off, get the bolt off, and reuse that spacer. So what we got, you unthread, keep going, and it comes out. And this is the back side. And the bolt's got a shoulder. And we got our little washer. And we got a spacer. And check it out, we don't have the same size inside pulley. We have to see if this will work or not. I want to see what the spacer is, the measurement, the offset from the back. Well, here's our belt. And she's all burnt and hanging out like that. And at the end of it, you see the abrasion on it? And then look at the end. So somehow this probably twisted and then it just stuck right on the end of that pulley, just melting away. So I just spent an hour and a half on all these pulleys. And here's the plastic that was stuck in the pulleys. And there's a lot of it. It's all over. Look at all that back there. And over there. And what it is it's that pulley. The pulley melted and stuck to everything. And so I got a new pulley. And that ribs melted right out of the old one. Here's the old one. Nothing left. So if I put a belt on, it probably would have lasted 5 minutes, 2 minutes. Look at that. So I wanted to put a metal one on. I just couldn't find the right diameter inside. But I did get the same thing. And that wasn't the cause of our problem. It was the alternator that set up. And then, of course, the belt got hot, melted that, and then that stuck to everything. So what I used was a propane torch, and I used that Harbor Freight curved pick. And I heated up every pulley. You could only do like 3 inches at a time because you can't get in there. And then once you could sort of see the rubber turning hot because it smokes a little bit, you put your little hook in there and you could hook on, and I peeled them right out in like 3-inch strips. So I did every pulley, and then I did that little wire brush, and I got in all the pulleys and got them cleaned out. What a headache. I had to do the crankshaft, the AC, the water pump. And the water pump I'll probably have to do a little more. And what else we got? The alternator's new. And let's see here. Had to do the AC, the crank. Oh, I did the power steering. And then the alternator's new. The tensioner. I bought one. Not sure I'm going to put it in. I might. The water pump, I'm going to check it again. And the fan is flat. So I got to check that water pump a little better. It's hard to get down in there. Finally got all these grooves on the pulleys cleaned out. So I'm going to go ahead and put my belt on. I'm using a Goodyear. I don't know if one's better than another. And I looked up my routing, which I don't see under the hood here. And that's the direction it's got to go. This is why it's so difficult. This is a grooved, 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 and grooved. So we only have 2 of them that are the flat pulleys, and one's the tensioner and the fan. And so I'm going to route that on there. I believe it's like 91 inches, 91 and a half. And then I should shrink that up a little, laminate it, and stick it on the hood here in case you drop a belt on the side of the road, you know. She is on. Forgot to mention, I put that pulley on. That looks good. We had a lot of trouble. Dawson come out and help me pull on the tensioner. I pulled on the tensioner, and he put the belt on the bottom. But boy, that was tough. And I think, what am I going to learn from this? It's a 14 millimeter, and you go counterclockwise, but everything's in the way up here. And any of the reading that I did, it said unhook everything, and then I don't want antifreeze all over. So I just tried to push things over, and we did it. Struggle, dirt in your eyes, that kind of thing. So I guess what we should do, guys, is what Terrell says. Terrell fixes all. Fire it up, fire it up, fire it up, fire it up. So I'm going to hook up the battery cables, and I'm going to do a clear flood mode, which is hold the pedal down and just crank it. And what that does is it doesn't start it, doesn't allow it to start. Just hold your gas pedal all the way down and just let her crank for a few seconds and make sure that every pulley looks perfect. I think they're spot on right now. They look good. All right, if you follow along with the channel, you can probably recall, I believe I did a short video on removing the smart charge. Can you bring that light over here? This is a gray smart charge wire on your negative cable, and there's forums and YouTube videos on removing that gray wire. Takes out the smart charge and makes the alternator do more of a full field, giving you battery voltage at like all the time, or charging voltage all the time, because it'll cut it back for mileage and just produce like 13 volts, and it's not putting the amps in your battery. So if you recall, this thing cranks slow, and I thought it was a bad battery, whatever. We put a battery in, it was 5 years old, but because that alternator's totally seized up, I think that thing was like slipping and, you know, really making it work. So I'm just going to look things over. I'm going to put it in clear flood mode and crank it over and see what happens. All right, I'm going to put it in clear flood mode, which is pedal to the floor. I don't know if they'll allow me to do that in this, Dawson. This is doesn't have the key, you know, it's a push button.
Oh.
I don't know if I can do the gas and brake at the same time. I'm going to try it.
Nope.
Awesome. Nice and smooth, right?
Yep.
Alright, I'm going to go grab a meter and we'll put on it, alright? Check that out, guys. 1401. Pretty steady. That means she's charging. Belt's making no noise. Sounds nice and smooth, don't it? Boy, that's a lot of work. Oh my god, this was we had about 8 hours, I think, installing that alternator, right?
Yeah.
2 of us struggling, getting dirt in our eyes and holding up the power steering pump. And then I had an hour and a half on the torching all the groove pulleys and cleaning them out with a Harbor Freight pick. It was a curve pick, and it hooked right in there and pulled. And then I did a wire brush on them. And then now it took us almost, what, 30 minutes anyway to put that belt on?
Yeah, at least.
I'd say allow yourself a day and a half to do a job with an alternator on a 21 Titan. Yeah, it's staying right at 14. So I'm going to go turn the lights on. Put a little load on, a little more load. I don't know if this will stay there, you know. Let's get a load on it.
Went down 0.05.
What is it?
It's 13.92 now.
Well, it went down a tenth of a volt.
A tenth of a volt, yeah.
Well, that's good, because you need, a battery's 12.5 volts, you need 13.5 to charge, that's 1 volt in. And I'm sure the smart charge is working, you know.
Yeah.
But if I disconnected that wire, it should go up to 14.2 to 14.6. A lot of guys said unhook that, it works, but because it's a new alternator, I decided I'll put that back on. We'll let her go, because I haven't had any trouble till recently. And that alternator, let's go look at that again. There's our alternator, guys. Look at this. You see that? That's a chunk of plastic. And then this will not turn. It may have only needed bearings, but it's high mileage. It's down low. I think it gets a lot of road crap up on it, water and debris. So I haven't seen anybody on YouTube come up with this issue, but what happened is this seized up, the belt kept trying to turn, it started getting hot, it started melting, it caught all the plastics on every pulley, broke the belt finally, and then the belt was stuck right through the grooves on the idler pulley, which was plastic, the weak point of the system. It melted all the plastic out of there and got stuck in all these grooves. So I never seen anything like it. I heard of this seizing up before, and usually it burns the belt off, you put a new belt on, but this is way farther than that one. So I'm gonna finish this video out, guys. What a project. I left the truck running, left the inner fender well out so I could see everything, check our power steering. Remember, we took the power steering brackets and everything and just lifted it up with a ratchet strap to be able to get the alternator right through here. What a hassle. So I'm just letting it run, make sure there's no trips, no leaks, the belt looks good, the engine's quiet, the tensioner sounds good, the new pulley's working good, we've got good charging voltage. What I'm going to do here quick is, you see the gunk up on the frame, I'm going to clean that out, and then I've got some rust reformer stuff I'm going to put on there. It's black, and touch up any kind of rust spot, and I'm going to do headlight while I'm in here, and I'm going to change the oil, I'm going to do some different things, but I'm not going to do them in this video. And I left the charger on there, or the meter. It's still 9.1 to 9.3. So this is a wrap. Thank you for watching how to install and fight an alternator, but an issue with the belt breaking and the plastic pulley coming apart and destroying everything in there.